Merhaba, I'm Natalie Gett. Welcome to Viva Malta. In the next hour, I'll be playing some of the best music from Malta and songs by Australians with a Maltese background. At about 25 to 7, I'll be speaking with Charissa Hanrahan, second generation Maltese, and she'll be telling us about her Maltese heritage and experiences of her visits to Malta. So, stay tuned to the Voice of the Maltese on Coast FM. It's 24 minutes to 7 o'clock. On Coast FM, your community radio station. My guest this evening is Charissa Hanrahan, second generation Maltese who loves traveling, in particular to Malta. As a matter of fact, she loves traveling so much that she's an accredited travel agent. She helps people with flight arrangements, but also importantly with information about Malta, places to visit and what's interesting in Malta for travelers young and old. Charissa is also my niece. Welcome to Coast FM, Charissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
Charissa, tell us a bit about yourself and your relationship to Malta.
I'm Australian born. I'm half Maltese and I have a 2-year-old daughter and a partner. I work as a mobile travel agent and my father is Australian born with Irish and Norwegian background. My mum is Maltese born. She arrived in Australia when she was 5. She returned back to Malta at 16 before permanently returning back to Australia a few years later. Being here today prompted me to read a diary that my mum wrote for me when I was growing up. It brought back many fond memories of my childhood, some of which I'll share with you this evening. Even though my dad is Australian, I found the Maltese culture was very strong and influential in my family. We're very family orientated, always holding lots of family events and Maltese traditions like Lucia, going to church and eating delicious foods. We spent lots of time with you and all of my uncles and aunties, cousins, grandparents and extended family. I've continued the Maltese Lucia tradition with my own daughter actually on her first birthday. The idea behind this tradition is to predict a baby's career or lifestyle. Essentially what you do is you place a number of objects representing different careers or lifestyles on a rug. The child's then encouraged to pick one of the items. Now my daughter, she picked up a juggling ball, so I think we've got quite an eventful life ahead of us. One of my clearest memories growing up was running around in circles while my grandfather tapped his hand to the beat of Maltese music. I still remember it like yesterday. I also remember going fishing and gardening and tinkering in the garden. I also have this vivid memory of a smell of a white flower from Papa's driveway. My grandfather was actually a very well-known gold gilder. He worked on statues and at churches and for feasts and processions. He was very passionate about what he did and very well known in Malta and in Sydney. I grew up with the Maltese language and being exposed for many years it became very familiar to me. So when I actually lived in Malta I was able to understand bits and pieces and locals would try and get me to say words like te eat, which means flower in Maltese, and they were very surprised that I could say that.
Yes, that's a very hard word indeed. My mom was Italian and it was very hard for her to say it. And I have to tell you, we had a bit of a laugh here and there when Mom was trying to say the word. But anyway, if you just joined us here at Coast FM, I'm speaking with Charissa Hanrahan, second generation Maltese, who's telling us about her Maltese upbringing and experiences in Malta. So Charissa, how did you develop this passion for traveling, in particular to Malta?
That's an easy question. My whole family are natural-born travellers. My uncle, who's also my godfather, he worked for the airlines and he used to travel a lot. He'd always be going here, there and everywhere. I was intrigued by what he did, so this was my initial inspiration into travelling and working in the travel industry. Personally am addicted to travel. I've travelled to 43 countries worldwide, and
Wow.
majority of my trips, the lengthy trips, were actually to Malta. My passion for travel to Malta was initially instigated by the desire to know my family history and to relive the stories that Mum told me, what it was like in Malta when she was younger. So after arriving in Malta for the first time, I fell in love within minutes. It was everything I thought it would be and more. People just made me feel so welcome. Their smiles, their hugs, the excessive food on the table.
Yes, plenty of that. It still happens, you know.
I know. The beauty of Malta and just the country itself. I when I think of Malta, I just think of it as my home away from home. It's a very, very special place to me. And I know it's not just a special place to people of Maltese background, as every single one of my clients that I've sent there in the past come back saying nothing more but fantastic things. So in summary, my passion for travelling to Malta, it's in my blood. And let's face it, who doesn't love travelling?
That's right. So since you've been to Malta yourself, what are a few of your favorite places to visit?
I couldn't answer this question without making mention of the crystal clear water, which I believe is a result of the limestone seabed. But some of my favourite places I'd have to mention are the Blue Grotto, there's Camino, Gozo. These are all amazing places to go swimming and to snorkel. I have a soft spot for Birgu waterfront, as this is where my mum was born. Then you've got Valletta, the history of the current capital city and the beauty of the Grand Harbour is just simply stunning. Cruising in and out of this harbour is one of my favourites. An interesting fact actually about Valletta is that it's recently been awarded the title of European Capital of Culture for 2018.
Yes.
And lastly, Mdina, which is also known as the Silent City, and it's also the first capital city of Malta. It's equally as breathtaking. One of my memories that I have is sitting on the bastions overlooking the lights of Malta. It's just beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What about places you'd particularly recommend for young people to visit?
Well, Malta as a whole, really, but it's just such an amazing place where you can relax, you can sightsee, you can spend endless hours on the beach, you can go scuba diving and make use of the water sports too. They even have flyboarding there now. The history is very interesting and the abundance of museums. Dining out is just delicious and there are so many famous beach clubs there. Malta is also very popular for filmmaking, so visiting the sites or sets of popular films such as Gladiator, there's Troy, the Da Vinci Code, Game of Thrones, and my all-time favourite Popeye, which has recently been converted to a theme park. The areas of Parcherville, Sliema, St Julian's and Gozo are the home to nightlife. I spent quite a bit of time in my early 20s, so I got to know that area quite well. Parcherville is actually the most well-known area for nightclubs. However, it is seasonal, so some of the clubs will only open during summer.
Well, as you know, the Maltese have a great sense of humour, and sometimes rules are made to be broken, especially road rules. Did you come across any funny situations when you were in Malta?
I absolutely learned that road rules are meant to be broken in Malta. I had my own car while I was in Malta, and I used to drive 40 minutes to and from work each day, which the locals actually thought was mad because that is literally on the other side of the country. So I experienced all sorts of driving techniques, from people driving on the wrong side of the road to people cutting in and cutting out. And even people just stopping in the middle of the road just to go and buy a pastizzi.
Yes.
And no matter what, the Maltese can be so loud that foreigners, including myself at first, would think that people are arguing rather than just having a friendly chat. It used to really make me laugh.
Yes. That's true, because I'm loud too. So, Charissa, when you went to Malta and you travelled on a Maltese passport, which gave you the opportunity to work there, a Maltese passport is also a gateway to Europe. Do you encourage second-generation Maltese to apply for a Maltese passport?
Absolutely. Having citizenship is first and foremost a privilege that I'm very proud of. Having a passport opens so many doors within Malta, Europe, and even other parts of the world. It made getting a job in Malta really quite simple. I was actually very lucky with employment, as the day that I arrived, I was walking to the shops to buy the newspaper so I could check out the positions vacant. And I happened to walk past a fine dining restaurant. I thought I'll just go in and ask if they have any positions, and sure enough they said, can you start tonight? So I did.
And that's good.
I also actually had another job teaching English at a private school, which I absolutely loved, and I made a long-term friend there who happens to be the granddaughter of the former Prime Minister of Dom Mintoff.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, and to this day we still keep in touch actually.
Yes. So it seems to me that you enjoy going to Malta, but are there any negatives about your visits? We have to say everything.
Of course. Well, the only negative that I can think of is having to leave.
Oh, really? That's good, that's good. And my final question is, has your Maltese background shaped you to be the person you are today?
In more ways than one. My upbringing and the Maltese culture, it's taught me to be loving, thoughtful and caring, not to mention being passionate about everything that I do.
Yes, true.
It's taught me the importance of my family and many traits that I now pass on to my daughter. I'm very proud to be a Maltese descendant. Lastly, it's taught me to be a good driver. It's also taught me to eat lots of pastizzi and Hobbs Bazate.
Oh, that's good, that's good. So you enjoy Maltese cuisine?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you, Charissa, for taking the time to speak to us on Coast FM. I wish you all the very best. And in memory of your grandfather and my father-in-law, I'm playing a track from a CD, Marci Brogusi, because I know he loved to listen to marches. And this particular track is called Victoriani Mellihin, Victoria's Melliha Residence. So here's in memory of Frank.